Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to this dominKnow 1 WebEx. My name is Janice Brown. I've got a few slides to present just to give you an overview really of the dominKnow 1 product. I'm joined by Jamie Blako. As usual, Jamie's doing all the work. Jamie's going to be demonstrating the tool. At the end of the presentation, we have a slide about getting started, and we'll talk about then what our proposals are really in terms of upgrading you as and when. So we're going to just take a quick look at what is new in dominKnow 1. As always, I just have a few slides really just to, set the scene. And then basically Jamie's going to go on to the demonstration and the getting started. So for existing Flow users, what does dominKnow 1 mean? Basically, we've got a new user interface. So you'll see when Jamie does his demonstration that the look and feel is quite different. We have a new feature called author roles, and this is where basically we can, if you have the right level of access, i.e. you are an administrator in terms of access, you're able to set up author roles, and there are 3 levels. So there's an experience level for experienced, trained content authors, and there are 2 others. One is an entry level, which we would suggest is for subject matter experts who just need to storyboard, and then really there's an experience plus level where basically you can assign access to users and allow them to add components, but they can't actually change themes, etc. And again, Jamie will go through that in more detail for you. Flow, which those of you on this session already have, has been updated. Jamie is going to, I believe, start with Flow and show you the updates in Flow. Capture, some of you haven't got Capture. It captures simulations. That's included with dominKnow 1. So that does mean that for your annual fee, you're getting a new feature. Now, if you already have Capture, you're getting a second new product or mode called Claro. Okay, so basically dominKnow 1 comprises of 3 tools, and you can see here a very short explanation of the 3. Flow being responsive and adaptive, so it sizes automatically to a tablet or a device. Claro is a fixed layout, but Claro actually enables us to very rapidly create content and also import PowerPoint slides. And then of course we have Capture, which enables us to capture processes on an IT system. And we've obviously got the publishing to the dominKnow mobile app, or indeed to your LMS desktop or print. So just a slide there talking about the 3 products and the logos, and then you can see here just a couple of points really about Flow, how it's truly responsive and can resize. The same for Capture, and you can see there that Capture has Show Me, Guide Me and Try Me, so it has 3 modes, I believe. And of course then Claro, which is the tool that we've had the longest, which tends to align to other systems on the market. But the real powerful thing about Claro is the fact that we can create content very quickly from templates, and of course we can import those PowerPoint slides and create e-learning very quickly. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the printing already. I believe Jamie's going to demonstrate that for us as well. And with that, those are my few slides. Jamie, I'm going to hand over to you now.
Okay, good morning everyone. Okay, so we're starting off in Flow, so I've logged into dominKnow 1, we're in Flow. And I'm going to take us through what hasn't changed, just to give you a comfort level of how you would edit, create and design courses at the moment in Flow. That has not changed, but there are just some enhancements and some fundamental changes that I want to make you aware of. Once we've looked at Flow, we'll then look at Capture, which is the tool that bolts in to Flow. And for those of you that are using Capture, Capture itself hasn't changed, but there's a couple of nice enhancements actually when you bring Capture into Flow. You can change, allow users to dynamically change modes. You can now allow users to print out a Guide Me tour, for example. So we'll have a look at that. We'll then move into Claro itself, so Claro none of you have seen, and Claro allows you to start from scratch in the same way you can start from scratch with Flow, or it also allows you to start from a PowerPoint slide. So if you had some PowerPoint decks, you could import them into Claro. That creates your basic page structure, and then we'll have a look to see what you can do within Capture. Finally, we'll look at the training options and support options that come packaged into the tool, and we'll sort of go with any questions. So, what is not changed? The fundamentals of how you put content onto your staging area has not changed with Flow, okay? So you still have your page, still have your sections, still have your rows, your groups, and then your actual elements within Flow. They still respond through breakpoints in the same manner. Okay, so how you have been designing, how you have been creating your courses, that doesn't have to change. So that's a mindset that you get into once you've started to use Flow, the responsive design mindset, and you don't have to change that. That's not changed at all. So let's think about things that have changed, what the enhancements are. The first thing that Janice mentioned was the author roles. Okay, so you see at the top right of my screen, I'm now on the designer role. Okay, so that gives me all options, and we'll talk about how some of these menus have slightly changed. That gives me access to full functionality. If I click in this list, Essentials, let's see if I can move this out of the way, there we go. So if I click on Essentials, notice that I only get the home option. So it really allows me to add pages, add questions, copy content from other courses. So it keeps it very minimalistic in terms of what I can do. So this could be somebody that perhaps all you want them to do is come in, and if you've got a course that's acting as a baseline, as we call it now, or a template, you may want to come in here so they could maybe switch this picture out to something else. They could maybe edit this text, but they don't have an option to go into things like actions, advanced things like variables, anything like that they can't do, okay? So the default setting for this is that it allows users to switch between these options. So if somebody comes in, you can say, look, just switch to Essentials and just use Essentials. But if you wanted to, I go to Designer, and we go into our users. There is an option that you can, so I'm looking at Carly, for example. I could set Carly as Essentials, and then turn off the option to allow her to change that. So it means she cannot move out of that, of the Essential user interface view. So it is a way to allow people to have limited functionality, so they follow your designs and don't start to go off on a tangent without allowing them to do anything more. So Essentials is, as it says, very, very basic. Essentials Plus gives you a little bit more. Okay, so they can do everything that Essentials did. So they can add pages in there, they can edit what's in there already, they can change themes. They can also start to insert images and video. Okay, things from your stock library, buttons, things like that. But any buttons they insert, for example, they would have to have pre-built actions against them, okay, because they can't create their own actions yet. And Engage, so this is a renaming of one of our tabs, or one of our menu options, I should say, and that gives them options to put in our container types, so tabs, accordions, flip cards, etc., etc. So still limited, but it gives them the option to put in these types of interactions, and then right up to Designer, which gives us all of the functionality. Okay, so depending on your use case, you could decide whether or not you want to actually restrict people to a certain author role, or if you wanted to just advise people that's there, and you might suggest if you go in, just go into and use Essentials and don't look at anything else because it's too steep a learning curve for you. Okay, so the menu structure itself, this has been changed. If you're looking at this, you'll think, well, that doesn't look like our usual one. Is you've got home and insert, templates, animate, interactions. So they have tried to streamline and simplify this. So home is relatively the same. Insert, again, that will look familiar to you. Engage is now, as I said, this is where they've brought in all the components. So all of these are in the same place now. Any interaction at all is within here. So it used to be, for example, if you wanted to put an action, so I just select here, if we wanted to put an action onto an element versus a page, you had to go into animate, get to the actions that were to do with pages, and you had to go to interaction to get to the actions that were to do with elements. Now it's all just in interact. And if I select in here the triggers, so these are your action triggers, Flow is now smart enough to know what I've selected. So it highlights or it enables the options that are applicable. So I've selected an element. So it's saying, right, I can do something with this element, or I can do something with the current page, or I can do something with a variable. If I deselected the element into here, it knows I don't have an element selected, but I can still do things with the page, but it's all in the same place. So the design team have tried to pull functionality that is linked and functionality that you might want to look at the same time into the same panels. Okay, and the same thing if I go to my home, okay, and if I click on page. So before, if I clicked on page, I had options for starter sort of layouts, design layouts and templates and things like that, but you had to make a choice. Now if I click on page, all of these are brought into the same panel. So I've got my starters based on my theme, I've got my blank layouts, and I've got lots, and then after my blank layouts, I've got sort of different use cases. So if I wanted a statement, it brings them into there. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all of these, but the takeaway from here is that things will have changed about, but they've changed for the better, because sometimes you had to try and search through different menu options to find things that were linked to each other, but now the design team have tried to bring them as much as possible, try to bring that together into the same pane or panel. Okay. Okay, so what else has changed? What other enhancements do we have? As we look at over here, first thing we can do, so this should look familiar in terms of we have modules, learning objects, and we have pages. But I can switch this view around if I want. So these little dots, I can now go into a card view. Okay, so you can actually get a preview of what things are going to look like on the left-hand side. Okay, so again, this can be useful as you are creating your pages, and you can flip between them. And it remembers what you last had. So if I had this in list view, I went out of the course and back into the course, it should still be in list view again. So if that's the view I prefer, it's always going to be there. Okay. Another key thing that you may have seen in here, there's something called commit, and also down the bottom right hand side an option that's called commit. So this is a fundamental change. So if I select in here and say, for example, I added in to insert some new text. Sorry, wrong one. So I put some body text underneath. This might be my subtitle, might go in there. Okay, so once I've made this change, notice down here, it's now set. So it's still saving everything as I go along, like Flow does currently, but I can commit a version that I can roll back to if I want to. Okay, so you didn't have that before. So if I commit this version, subtitle added. If I can spell subtitle, there we go. Okay, and if I now go to my page, I've got versions in here. So if I click on this version, it gives me the check-in comment, and I can preview it, but perhaps I could preview what I had yesterday. So I go into here, and I wanted to preview this version, it'll show me the version of that page. Okay, and I can roll back or restore this version of the page, or you can actually restore individual objects from the page itself. Okay, so this is a massive step forward. It was always one of the challenges with Flow, is that although it gave you a history of what had changed on the page, it didn't actually allow you to roll back if you'd made changes. So if you'd made a big edit to a page, you might want to take save a copy before you've made the big edit and a copy after it, so in case you wanted to change anything back. Or sometimes pages would break. You would get the circle of death almost rolling, saying because you've perhaps done something to a page that they didn't like. So again, if you've got a version you can roll back to, you can easily just roll back to that version. Okay, so now I've committed this. Anyone else can come in, any other author can still come in the same way. They can come in and edit this page by coming into the course, hitting edit, and then in essence it's checked out to them. So it's working more like something like SharePoint. If you use SharePoint, it would work like that. Okay, so I'd say that's probably The main sort of fundamental changes to Flow are the menu structure itself has been streamlined. You can actually hide some of the menu or the functionality based on the author role at the top. And the big one, and the one that I was very excited about, was the commit option. So you've now got full version control for your content. Okay. Okay, so I'm now going to move on to capture. Okay, so capture is you can get to capture from the record option. Okay, within Flow itself or within Claro. If I just create a new page for us, actually, that will just create a blank page there. Notice again, this is slightly new, which all should make sense. The way it works is the same. Okay, so we've got a blank. So say we wanted to put a simple recording of how to use Microsoft Word in there. So I can do record, simulation. So Capture itself is a small application that runs on your machine. So it checks to see if you've got it installed. If you don't, it will install it. There's also a standalone installation file that we can provide if you're going to have like firewall issues or anything like that connecting out to the upload server. We've done that for customers if that's required. Okay, so if I wanted to start to record in here, and now as I go through this, just go through some of these, some clicks to show. Say I wanted to talk somebody through different menu options. And then Control Enter to end. Okay, so now I've got my screenshots that I've recorded down the left-hand side. Okay, we've got the instructional text at the bottom here we can see. So it understands what you've clicked on, so it understands here I've clicked on references. If I wanted to put any additional text in there, I can do that. Other things we can do, if we wanted to censor out a certain area, we could put a censor on the screen, so perhaps somebody's name was on here, you didn't want it in there, or there was information that was sensitive, you wanted to take that out. So I won't go into all the functionality, but if you've used something like Oracle UPK or other software simulation tools, it is much easier to use than that. You can really learn how to use this in sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, and then you're good to go. So if I want to bring this back into Flow itself, if I now save, call it MS Words over to PR. Okay, I now just say I want to upload that. Okay, and as long as I've got a container or a space on my Flow page, I can just drag and drop it in. Drop it there, hit continue. And close this one down. Okay, hit OK. And now our capture tool or our simulation is sitting within Flow. Okay, so it's as simple as that to pull something in. Different modes that we have, if I go into our options, so show it mode is somebody who just watches. Try it mode is if you start the simulation, you're going to actually go through the steps. You can see my cursor's changed to something I can interact with. If you wanted to allow someone to try it out. And the guide mode is step by step, almost screenshots, and the text on the right hand side. Okay, and for those who've got capture already, some additional actions that are available, as I said. So I just inserted a button. Let me put a button up top. We'll just call this one print. And this is not just for capture, this is for anything. This is one of the new action types that we have. Okay, so if I go to put an action, and again, look, they have, so things like this, if you're using your actions, they've updated these menu systems, but you do get used to it quite quickly. And there is training, as I'll talk about at the end. But if I wanted to print out the current page, I hit apply. Okay, so if we preview this, so we've got this, the guide, the mode is our guide me. hit print. Okay, so then our learner, if they wanted to, could have print out a little mini manual of that process. And at the end, I'll show you there is actually a way now we can print all of it out. There's an option now for document printing, so you can print all of this out as a user guide, a student guide, the whole course, as a Word document or as a PDF. So I'll come on to that then when we talk about the publishing changes. Okay, so that's a really useful feature, I think. And there's also other actions. If I go into here and we go to media and timing, the different modes, so the show me, the try me modes, guide me, you can actually allow users to dynamically switch between them and decide what they want to see just by putting a buttons on the page and having the switch capture state option. Okay, so that's really a capture. If you wanted to edit this, you can edit it. They've slightly changed how you can edit it. Previously, you would edit it from here, but now you edit. They're going to add that option back in. But currently you would go into the media library. So in the same way, if you wanted to go in and look at an image or a video somebody had uploaded, you can go into the media library, look at this course, and that capture would be there. So if somebody else had created this capture, put it into Flow, another author could come in and edit that capture if they wanted to put additional notes against it. Okay, so that's capture. Right, so we've looked at Flow. We've looked at capture, how it integrates with Flow and Claro. Let's now look at Claro. So there's two ways you can really start a Claro course. And also we'll have a quick look at the new Create Project wizard. So when I click on New, or when I'm on my splash screen here and I New Project, it takes you to this page here. So we can decide we want to go into a Flow course. Or if we wanted to do it, we'll come to baselines. We can have open something that I've recently created, or we can do Claro. So Claro here is starting from scratch or from a template. But if we want to start from a PowerPoint, we can actually import a PowerPoint in. So it takes a few minutes to import it in. So I have done one previously. So this PowerPoint here, just went and grabbed it from Microsoft. Okay, so it's got text on it. It's got, this is one of the PowerPoint objects, smart art objects you can put in there. It's got a graph in there, etc., etc. So if we actually bring this into Flow, bring it into Claro. So one point it has to go into Claro. Can't go into Flow because it would have to decide how it responds. So that's why it doesn't let you put it into Flow. But if we brought that into Claro, it would look like this. So let me just modern design and open this up. Right, so in here, so we can see it's brought that image through as the background image. It's brought the text box through as something separate. It's brought that smart art piece through as an image. Okay, text through again, images through. So as much as possible, split things into individual images or individual text. Things that won't bring through, if you had lots of animation within your PowerPoint, it's not going to bring that through. You would rebuild that within Claro itself. Okay, so within Claro, you'll see that the interface itself is very much aligned to Flow. Okay, and luckily, I think going from Flow to Claro is much easier than the other way around because you don't have to worry about responsive design. Okay, everything within everything within Claro, if I click on this image, has an X and a Y coordinate, and it has depth. So if I wanted this to sit up here, I just drag it up, put it up there. I can just move it about with my arrow keys as well, or I can actually just put exact coordinates in there. So to get things lined up on your screen, you can just move things in there. And there are options in here, for example, if I wanted to put guidelines on, put smart edges on to help me align different elements with each other. So in terms of getting things on your stage, it's very much like a PowerPoint. And if I wanted to put this behind the image, I can just say move it to the rear. And if I wanted the image to go back, I can say move that. So we've got a depth in here. We can sit things on top of each other. So in terms of actions, it means if I wanted to have an image that only showed when somebody did something, you could just have that image sitting at the very back of the stage, and then when they have an action, that image just comes to the front of the stage. So it does make things a little bit easier. Other things that you can do in here which you couldn't do within a Flow If I go to interaction, we go to actions, animation effects. So move to. So you can actually move things about now. Okay, so when I click on the rich text, I want the rich text to move up to the top left-hand corner, so X and Y 0, 0. And if I apply that, hopefully if I preview this page, click on there, it moves. So you can now have things quite easily moving about your page, hiding and that type of stuff. So if you wanted, for example, to create say it was a health and safety course and you wanted to show a picture of an office and you want people to be able to click on certain things on that office, and then that things might move around, things might show and hide, and if you decided that the best medium for someone to use that course was on a desktop device, you might decide, right, let's just use a Claro, because it gives you this level of control that you don't have within Flow, because Flow has to understand how to respond. And also, if you had a PowerPoint or PowerPoint decks that you just wanted to turn into SCORM outputs that you could just put into an LMS to track, for example, you could just take those PowerPoint decks, put them into here, have it as a very simple course that somebody just clicks through the previous and next pages, and when they get to the end of the course, that would be them. They would have it would be tracked in your LMS system. So Claro really gives you that type of functionality. So they have streamlined what they used to be able to create templates based on courses, and you had to create a template library, put those course templates into that library, etc., etc. What they've now introduced is what we call a baseline. So if somebody is an administrator, they get this option on a course. So you see it as a baseline. So if I just select that and update, if I now decide I want to create something new, baselines from our organization, that course is in there, and the Flow course is also in there as well. Okay, so the administrator could decide, right, we want a standard course for if somebody wants to have video content that's going to be pushed out, or a standard induction course, and then they'll go in there and change the details specific to a certain building or a department, and they might want to change that. But we could create them, and they all live in this baseline area in here. Okay, so that's hopefully going to simplify that option. Okay. So differences with publishing. If I go to publish, okay, so the standard options are there. With a Claro, one difference is, and this has been beta for a long time, I think it's always going to stay in beta, but if you wanted to just publish out a course and run it from your desktop computer, you can publish it out. It only works for Claro. Publish it out and it will be an executable file that you can just run. So if you wanted to just go to somebody's desk and just show them it, or whatever reason you wanted to run it off your computer, you could do that. So perhaps you are going somewhere that does not have internet access, but you still want somebody to review a course. You could publish an offline copy to your desktop computer and then go to their desk, go to the area and show that to them. But the one that I do want to show you is this documentation. So if I click on here, we get different options. Okay, so if you just wanted to have all the screenshots just to talk through somebody, or just wanted the screenshot of the course, you could have screenshots. Instructor guide and student handout in here are really for your training guides. A reference guide shows you all the objects that have been used on the course. So that's probably more if you wanted to just document how a course has been put together. You could use a reference guide. Printed exam would just be if you had test questions at the end of the course. The exact differences, I will admit this now, the exact difference between instructor guide and student guide, I'm still getting those from Domino. It will be to do with, if I click on custom, and I'll show you what one of these look like in a moment. If I click on custom, there are lots of settings in the same way that you set publishing profiles for like a web version of your course. There's lots of settings in here that can be turned on and off. But it'll be things such as page notes. Page notes might not be in a student guide, but they might be on an instructor guide. But that's something that I will find out, we will find out, and we'll let you know. But to let you see what one of these looks like, if I go to student handout, options, so an ebook, PDF, or a document. So I just say I want a PDF, publish this out. download the package. Okay, so there's our, so we've got a table of contents. We can turn the number runner off. And then we've got the different pages there. Got some page notes in, etc., etc. Okay, so before this, there wasn't really a way of, you could produce documentation, but the documentation was really more for the authors, for the instructional designers, or perhaps for things like translation, if you wanted to push all the text out to get it translated. But this is now moving towards, if you designed a course that worked online, but also worked as an offline manual, then this type of output could be something you could use. So that is really the end of, I haven't dived into every single difference, but I've tried to pull out the ones that I think, I know you're all designers, you're all in there using Flow, so the ones that I think you would find most useful, most interesting. So I've tried to pull them out. In terms of training, if I just cancel it off here, at the bottom we've got a quick tour, so you can decide, so if I wanted to understand about the ribbon, you've got a little tool here that would talk me back through what all of these things do, so that can be quite good as a refresher. There's also, if I go into support, there's getting started. So I would suggest that you all go through these. So you may not work your way through it, you might just read through it, because these will highlight what the changes are, but they don't highlight exactly this is what it used to be in before Domino 1 and this is what's in Domino 1, but if you read through this, then you'll understand, right, so the actions options are now over here rather than over there. So there's one guide for Flow, one guide for Claro, one guide for Flow, and one guide for Capture, so you can work through them. And also for Flow and Claro, there are built-in knowledge bases. That will be kept up to date. So again, you can go into just a wiki for each of them. You can go in there and sort of look anything up. So in terms of self-starting and self-study, this would be the starting point for that.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, well, thank you everyone for your time.